welcome back to Brew Blues. Today we're going to be using our sourdough starter to make some flatbread. So we're doing a Mediterranean Greek style flatbread, and we're also going to do some roti flatbread. Now the roti doesn't normally need a yeast, so adding the sourdough starter will just create a variation on that. I've never done it before, so I'm going to experiment today and see how it works out. So again, I'm making these today to cook tomorrow. So we're going to let the sourdough have its time to ferment. If you're making it on the same day, these flatbreads can be made on the same day. You've probably just got to do a little bit more kneading to the dough to make sure it's a smooth ball. So we're going to start with the Greek style bread. So I've got 300 grams of plain flour. You can use plain flour or bread flour, either's fine. Now I've got a tablespoon of sugar, a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of baking powder. I've got 60 mils of water. I've got a quarter of a cup of plain full fat natural yoghurt, and I've got 1/4 of a cup of oil. So I'm just going to give that a stir through. Again, you don't have to mix it through too much. You'll notice with this mixture though, there's not a lot of liquid in it. It's quite a dense mixture, so don't worry too much that it looks quite dry. You can see there that it's looking quite crumbly almost. That's okay, that's pretty normal for this one. And what I will do on this one, now that I've given it a stir through, so we'll give it a bit of a light knead. So I'm just bringing it together. And what looks quite dry, you don't have to worry too much, it'll come together in a ball. As soon as it's come together in a ball, I can pretty much wrap that up in plastic. And again, I'll give it a light knead later tonight, 1 in the morning, and then we'll roll it out tomorrow night, ready to cook on the barbecue. So you can see there that it's come together as a ball. That's fine. That'll be just wrapped in cling wrap now and left. So the roti, I've got 300 grams of flour, a teaspoon of salt, and 250 mils of water. And I'm going to add the starter. About 100 grams of starter. Again, don't worry too much about it. Don't forget to feed your starter when you finish that. Again, I'll just mix that through. Once it's mixed through, I can wrap that in cling wrap and leave it till tonight. So this one's a little bit, the water in it, you can see that it's a bit more moist, and that's about ready to go. So I'll just wrap that in cling wrap and leave it till later, and then we'll come back tomorrow and see how they are. We're back in the kitchen the following day, so it's been about 24 hours since we put the two mixes together. So we're going to start with the Greek style flatbread. So I'm just going to take it out of the bowl, give it a light knead. So you can see that it's still fairly elastic, but it's a fairly tight dough. So I'm just going to cut that up. I'm going to do 5 pieces, so I'm just going to roughly cut into 5 equal pieces. Doesn't have to be that accurate. A bit of flour on the base of the bench, and then I'm just going to roll it out a little bit. Now you can roll this out. I'm just going to aim to roll this out into a fairly long, flat oval shape. But I'm going to cheat a little bit today. I'm going to use a pasta making machine if you've got one. So I'm just going to roll that through. And I'm going to do this a few times, just increasing the setting until it's probably 25, 30 centimetres. You get the idea in a minute. Well, even though it's quite a dense dough, it's still fairly easy to work with. I think this one might be about enough. So, as I said, you could easily do that with a rolling pin, but it was just quicker and easier to do it with the pasta making machine. So you can see it's quite thin, nice long piece. We're going to do 5 of those. So I'll put them aside and I'll show you how we do the roti bread. So with the roti, we're going to need a fair bit of flour for this. Because as you can see, it's a fairly wet mixture. So I'm going to get the mixture out onto the bench top. And to do that, I'm just going to put a little bit of flour on the outside and then just start gently getting the flour loose. A fair bit of flour on the bench top, otherwise this is going to stick to everything it touches. So I just get that out of the bowl, and you can see there that this is quite an elastic dough to start with. So I want to basically cut this up into about 10 pieces, so they're going to be smaller pieces than the Greek flatbread. Plenty of flour. Now what I want to do, lots of flour so this isn't going to stick. I'm just going to roll it out just a little bit, and then once we've rolled it out once, that's about the size we're going to do it. When it's finished, I'll worry about this first one, because all I want to do at the moment is I've got some melted butter. So I've got about 30 grams of melted butter to go with this recipe. I'm just going to brush some of that over the top. So nice serving of butter there. And I'm just going to roll it up so all that butter gets caught inside. Just roll it into a circle. Plenty of flour on that. And then just gently roll that out. And the idea of doing that is, with any luck, that butter would have created some nice layers of bread in there, so we get that nice flaky texture when you eat the roti. And that's about it. So I'll do the rest of those and then we'll be ready to go on the hot plate. So I've come out to the barbecue. As you can see, we've rolled out all the Greek bread and the roti. So the roti are the smaller pieces there and the Greek bread's the long flat piece. So I'm just going to cook one of each. Only need 2 or 3 minutes on either side. So I've got a hot barbecue here. Plenty of oil or butter or spray oil. And I'm just going to put one of these on as well. And what you should find, I'll just give them, if you've got butter, give them a bit of a brush with butter or oil. I'll just give them a bit of a spray with spray oil as well, just to help them cook. So this has been on a hot barbecue, and I'm just going to turn that down now that I put them on. You can see that they're starting to bubble a little bit, much like a pancake would. And just as they bubble up on one side, we're then going to turn them over. So you can see they're only going to need probably 2 or 3 minutes on either side. So we'll just see, you can see how that's bubbling away quite nicely. So we're just going to flip that over. And see how that's gone nice and golden brown on that side. And then we'll just flip the roti over as well. And if they puff up too much, just make sure they're puffed down to give them a nice even cooking. And don't be afraid to just flip them over once or twice on either side, just to make sure they're cooked through. All you want to do is basically cook them enough until they're nice and golden brown on either side. So you can see that these are nice and golden brown on either side. So you can just take them off and I'll then cook the other ones and then we're ready to go. Okay, so we've finished doing all the cooking on the barbecue. So you can see that we've got our roti bread. So it's the smaller bread, a bit flatter. You can actually feel the flakiness in the crispiness that the butter has created, and the Greek flatbread, which is a softer bread with the yogurt in it. And we're serving it with dal tonight, but you can have it with any kind of curry or anything you'd normally have flatbread. So happy baking, great brewing, enjoy the blues, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you then. Cheers.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song